Hello, fellow armchair Imagineers. It's your podcasting compatriot, Tiki here.
And BlueDragonFive.
And Jacob Wile too.
And together we are the Big Podcast 3.
Ba la la la.
All right. I apologize for my freeform lying, guys. Okay, it is Big Hero 6. We're talking about Big Problem, Season 1, Episode 17. Can it be as bad as last week's episode?
No.
Gentlemen, what do you think?
No.
Well, no, it can't be as bad as last week's episode.
I still think it's kind of climbing out of the pit of last week's episode. I gotta say, last week's episode still leaves a little bit of a bad taste in my mouth. But this was definitely an improvement, and the image we have up here for you guys of the shiny new suits for the team definitely kind of goes to show, like, all right, we're back. We're ready to kick some butt. We're we got a nice new look to us.
That said, I gotta tell you, I'm really I'm real mixed and middle of the road on the episode, though. It's not bad.
I am too, Dragon. I don't want to say it. I mean, I think that the costume change is probably the best part of the episode, but I want to like this show more than we are.
Well, and again, I think the X factor in the room, again, just following a pattern here, lack of Obake, is kind of...
Yep. Obake-less episodes are definitely the... I mean, it's definitely not as bad as last week's episode, for sure. Like, we all agreed that last week's episode probably, besides some of the animation, some of the musical stuff, it probably shouldn't be mentioned again.
I mean, the best way I could phrase this episode is that, there's a skeleton of a great episode here, but it's not fully realized, and that kind of bugs me.
The main issue here with me is, like, it kept me going throughout the plot, and then it just stops.
I really didn't care until kind of the third act. I didn't really pick up until the third act for me. Basically the big kind of save towards the big kind of saving Livamara, that whole thing.
Yeah.
But
there's just not enough stuff was paid off.
And we have kind of a played out. And don't get me wrong, we've been tracking this throughout, and I don't mean this entirely in a negative way. We kind of took. We've been kind of noting along the way how we've, as Schoolie and McCorkle, they've been taking kind of old plot lines, and we've kind of been either old superhero tropes or kind of plot lines that they've done kind of in Kim Possible, Buzz Lightyear, Star Command, and kind of like put a Big Hero 6 spin on, or put kind of like a commentary on kind of the elements of being a superhero. And in this case, we do the age-old envy and jealousy episode. That's what this episode was. And the superhero aspect of it, so again, that's kind of the story and the moral, if you will. But to me, it felt kind of like On Leather Wings light. Tiki, what do you think of that? Do you feel this episode's kind of On Leather Wings light?
On Leather Wings light. Wow.
Would you agree with our kind of our main kind of like our quote unquote villain plot? Doesn't it feel like a little On Leather Wings esque, but just really
It's not great.
Yep.
What's weird is that it really doesn't explain why he didn't. Spoiler alert. It doesn't explain why he is the way he is or how he is the way he is.
Hence the light, yes.
It's like he's just like, oh, he's a monster for some reason.
So for the very low population who's not seen Batman the Animated Series, let me explain. On Leather Wings was the first episode of Batman the Animated Series, and involved basically kind of a monster plot with Man-Bat, basically a scientist who turned into a bat to kind of he became addicted after an accident happened in the lab, and he's just been kind of stealing and making chemicals to kind of evolve himself into
in other words, a literal Batman.
Exactly. And that episode, here's the thing: there was a love story in that episode that kind of made you. Again, the guy was acting kind of villainous initially. Again, he was trying to kind of mutate himself for he's kind of like a perversion of like scientist playing God type of story. But at the same time, you had like this real world anchor, this female scientist that he was in love with and who cared about him, and he kind of had some humanity in there. And of course, we saw kind of like this mystery play out, and we do have a mystery happening here. And again, I love the reveal of the mystery, but I think the way we kind of lay it out feels like a little forced and feels like a little, well, there's not really anything here. Like we don't have that human X factor like a Langstrom. We don't have a, we don't have like really like a gripping, like, oh my god, I wonder who this is. I wonder what the deal with this guy is. And we don't really get to know the guy at all. So basically, we find
We don't
out
have
that
the comedy like with Gloppy.
yeah, like we've been doing such a good job with kind of our villains for the most part in Big Hero 6, and then we kind of hit Orso Nox here. Orso Nox basically turns into this. Oh,
You know
gee, I
what's
wonder.
funny is that I have a Mr. Knox.
I'm sorry.
I have a Mr. Knox in my life that I am very dear friends with.
I keep thinking of Nox from Batman '89.
every time I hear Knox in this episode, I'm just like, it's Knox. Because the thing with me and Knox is that like I dropped the Mister from his name long ago, and I just refer to him as Knox.
I believe my Knox is Alexander Knox, if I'm getting his first name right. I'm pretty sure it's like Alex Knox, I think. Anyway, so basically the big description of what Knox has turned himself into, again, this is a fun running gag within the episode that as Fred has described it, how even Alistair Cray has also described him as a whale dinosaur, a whale mixed with a dinosaur mixed with hair in a blender, in like a human form that's been put on ice and unthawed. Just a little. It's been unthawed a little, and that's what you get with our monster of the episode.
But the thing is, it's just like it's so ridiculous, and they don't really do anything with it. Like you said, they don't really have an origin story to it at all. It's just kind of there. It's like, all right, yeah, here it is. We got to deal with it.
I mean, here's the thing. Bare minimum, I need to know who Orso Nox is. I can't just have like hey, important person. I can't just I need to see this guy. I need to see why I care, like why this guy big deal.
Pretty much as I explained in my opening statement, it's just like it's like okay, here he is. He's a monster for some reason. We don't know why or how he became a monster or how his Tempest illusions are even relevant.
That's the thing. We only have that one clue. Okay, Tempest. That's the only human connect we have with the guy, and that's it. Like okay, he's citing the Tempest, and we have to infer way too much in the storytelling here because here's the thing: we have to infer. Here's the thing. Here's my big problem with the plot, and yet another thing we lose without that human connection. Like I'm not in the monster's head at all. I don't know. Like he's basically following his schedule for some reason. Like he's going to. He had a meeting with Fred.
In terms, it's essentially, hey, I'm a dinosaur.
Well, I don't think that's quite apt here, Tiki. But it's sure.
Well, I don't know. I'm just saying it's just very casually, just like, all right. There we go. He's a monster. Let's deal with it.
I mean, that's the perplexing. Yeah, I'm sorry. Go on.
Pretty much the entire scene at the house could have been cut out for time.
I mean, that's the thing. We don't know. Like, all we know is that he's following the pattern of like following the man's schedule, which again is like a little clue if you're really paying attention. But again, it's kind of a hard thing to put together unless you know like the eye thing, like the iris of the eye, like Baymax figures out.
Pretty much the only thing the highlight that came out of that scene was drunk Baymax again.
Yeah, but even that was like we just basically had to contrive a situation to get. Like, don't get me wrong, it's always fun to see drunk, kind of drunk, low battery Baymax. It's always fun.
Are, like missing the point. I think that the whole like the Baymax 2.0, like Super Saiyan Baymax, whatever the hell it's called, is really cool.
It's Overdrive.
Overdrive. All right. I love the design of that. And yeah, it is funny. Like every time we see it, we know we're going to see drunk Baymax, which is like a cherry on top. But I don't know. I think Overdrive Baymax is pretty badass.
No, Tiki, I love Overdrive Baymax. That's cool. What I'm saying is, I feel we only had him in there just to make a brief appearance. They really didn't do anything. He just basically scared him off.
I'm going to make a very brief cameo.
That's all I'm saying. It's like, don't get me wrong.
I did a cameo.
Like that's fine. That's fine. I just felt like, okay, well, we just did that just to get drunk Baymax, and that's funny. But do we really need that?
Yeah, like, I hear you.
Funny is that I was actually interested in this, and like I was following it until it reached that scene at the end. But it was like there's only 3 minutes left. How is this gonna be like a 2-parter or something?
Yeah, you know what? I feel like that's been a kind of a running problem with this show, is that it's just kind of like, we have these good concepts, we have these good storylines, but it's like we look at the clock and it's like, oh crap, they really
Like
they have to wrap up a lot.
Like the Jacks, Tiki, they show
Exactly, but I think the Jacks was a better episode than this. At least the Jacks was a little more memorable.
I'd agree. I'm not disagreeing with you there. That was a better episode.
I mean, at least
I disagree that the Jacks wrapped up a little poorly, but I love them in concept.
I know. I'm just saying, like, that was like the only real problem with that episode. Okay, the Jacks, they basically kind of run scared towards the end because the episode's almost over.
I mean, this is basically, it's just like, okay, they knocked him out, and he's gone.
And they didn't even do it. Karmi did it.
Yeah.
So speaking of Karmi, I think she has maybe some of the best and worst stuff in this episode, oddly enough.
Yes, and I feel it's less Karmi's fault. I feel it's unfortunately because I'm so frustrated because Liv Amara is a new character we got in the show here. Liv Amara, I feel, is interesting, but I feel they botched her in the introduction here, and that bugs me. And I feel Karmi kind of have to suffer the consequences because of that.
Okay, my big problem with Karmi, and again, it's not Karmi's fault, and again, this is one of the situations where she's suffering the consequences of it.
Mm-hmm.
Hiro is still just stuck in jealousy mode, and this was literally the issue that we had in the first introduction of Karmi, and it's just literally a recycled storyline.
And again, because we can't just get that secret identity thing out of the way.
I know, it's so frustrating.
And he's still Captain Cutie, and I hate that. I still hate that stupid name.
I got to admit, the callback, like, I hate it, but at the same time, it's like, yeah, at least they're sticking to it, at least it's consistent. It's consistent.
Consistently pissing me off. That's what it's doing. Oh, good, but
I hope that Honey Lemon has a better name than Tall Girl now.
God. All right, just okay, real quick, just to back up for a moment here. I just wanted to cover this real quick before I forget about it. With the Tempest thing, because again, the Tempest thing is somewhat important, but just to get us to Liv Amara here is that again, Orso Nox, like, we have no correlation between like why seemingly he's going to these people so he can get cured, right? Seemingly, or to get help or cured. I'm sorry?
I said seemingly, yes.
Yeah, seemingly. And again, I don't know if it's like it's like his human side of his brain taking over, like, okay, I'm just going to fulfill my schedule, nothing's wrong with me. Or if it's like, please help me, and he's signing the Tempest like, hey, figure out it's me, it's the only thing I can say.
And then with the whole biochemistry thing, I think I was kind of leaning towards, like, maybe Liv Amara did this to the guy.
Possibly, or at the very least, like, again, like, if he's seeking help, don't go to Fred's mom. Go to Liv Amara first. She's the biotech person. Go to her first. That's the thing. It's just we don't have enough details, and I'm just left kind of playing a guessing game with what's going on with the plot. Like, why are guys terrorizing these three people, just kind of misconstruing this whole thing? But we need somewhat of a mystery here. But again, it's a mystery that's kind of ill-conceived in the basically miscommunicated, I guess. Terminology. But here's what I like with the Karmi story. Getting back to things, and of course, the Liv Amara of it all is I like that. I love the lesson that Honey Lemon expounds in the episode. We had a great lesson from Honey Lemon where she explains to Hiro about jealousy, that you're not jealous of us, and we're like masters of our own kind of our own fields of study here, and there are things that you're better at, and things that Karmi's not so better at, and of course, and vice versa.
The problem is, Dragon, that is a very good lesson. Yes, it's a lesson that Hiro goddamn learned in like 10 episodes ago.
Basically, it's more spelled. Here's the thing, I'm not disagreeing with your point. I think you're right. I'm just saying I think they spelled it out more here, which they didn't need to do because they basically
yeah, exactly. They didn't need to do it.
I mean, technically it's different, but it's essentially the same thing, though. So I think you're right.
All right.
But here's what I do like. It again, if you're going to do the same lesson, at least I like that in spicing it up. I like that we had Honey Lemon kind of get into the heart of it all. But also, here's what I like. But here's my problem with it: they didn't make this the focus enough. Where I love this bit. And I don't know how much of this is intentional. My fingers crossed that this is intentional because this was clever. If this is what they were doing, we had kind of this parallel with Hiro and Cray, where they're at the party, and Cray's jealous of Liv Amara like he's jealous of Karmi, and it's kind of implied, at least a bit of my inference of it, is that I think Cray also kind of has a thing for Amara, like Hiro kind of deep down has a thing for Karmi.
I kind of saw
Yeah,
that
and
too.
Cray was one of the bright spots of the episode as well. I'm sorry, Jacob, go ahead.
I said I kind of saw that too.
Yeah,
Like,
it's the whole parallel.
it's either that or he's just like being polite, like pretending he's like I hate that woman, and then he's like, oh hi.
Well, yeah, even taking the potential kind of like genuineness of a relationship out of the equation, you still have like that great thing. He's fuming exactly the way Hiro was about the whole everything she does is terrible. Just being very childish and pedantic, kind of a wake up call for Hiro. And Hiro uses the honey lemon advice on Cray. So yeah, I thought that was smart. I just wish they kind of hammered that in like closer to like basically. I wish it wasn't just saved for the third act. I wish we kind of established that a little earlier in the thing. Like that's a good idea. So we could like kind of strengthen that or like put it more in focus.
Yeah.
Like again, this is another case of like our story, our A plot and our B plot are very disconnected at the same time. We're okay. We have kind of our jealousy story and we have this monster story that again they don't really go together that well.
Yeah, and really it's like I just watched the episode a few hours ago. Unfortunately, I didn't have time to rewatch because of Better Call Saul, but yeah, it's just I gotta say, Dragon, you're right, because it just kind of blurs together for me. Again, the big thing that I kind of take away from the episode is like, hey, that cool costume change was cool.
And
it
even
was
aesthetically.
and technically the new armor didn't even help them much.
Well, allow them to like take a licking, but that's about it. It's basically all it is. It's like okay, we can be knocked around, kind of be okay. That's pretty much it.
Isn't so much purpose beyond it though.
Very true.
And it also kind of loses the unique look they had before too.
I hope it's more of like I hope it's not going to be the regular costumes they're going to be in now. I hope it's like a variant thing of like it's like how Batman has like all the bat suits that you never see him actually wear, but they make like tons and tons of toys out of them. Kind of the toy addict kind of like marketability factor.
Well, my hope is that it's going to be like the Overdrive, the Make It Drive.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure it's Overdrive, but
Overdrive, yeah. I hope that's going to be like an Overdrive type of thing where they bust these suits out for special occasions.
Exactly. And so again, Liv Amara, what do you guys feel about her? Because I think I'm just kind of bringing her up now and again. So what do you think about this Amara character?
She does. She had interesting potential if they like bring her back more.
See, I feel I stumbled in one area with her, which has kind of had me like I was so like initially I was really enamored with this character. Like, okay, this is neat. Again, I'm kind of like she has some presence about her. She's kind of neat. She's scientific. I like it. But we had this really big story issue with her. It kind of like ate away at me with that character. This episode, it's a bumpy introduction where Amara she's coming to SFIT specifically to inquire about Baymax, Hiro and Baymax, right? And
sure.
The instant that she figures out why no one told her this, I don't know. But the minute she figures out that hey, Hiro didn't invent Baymax, she's instantly dismissive of Hiro. She's instantly dismissive of Hiro, and like the only question she has is what inspired you to build him? And of course, like again, Hiro knows why from Tadashi, and she's like, no, I didn't actually build him. She just turns her back on him and she walks out. Like, you don't have any follow-up questions? What? Really? That's the whole reason for your visit, and you see they made all these upgrades and everything? Nothing?
Dragon, I'm so glad you're bringing that up, because the whole reason I haven't been talking about her is that you're absolutely right. It did make a very bad first impression on me. I was just like, wow, that was incredibly shallow of this woman. I do not like this woman.
Yeah, I mean, that's the thing. It feels forced. Like, that element basically feels forced to get us to the Karmi of it all. I mean, I like the payoff of the Karmi stuff. I mean, that's all fine and good. I just wish they wasn't so... I just wish all of that wasn't so forced. Like, okay, well, we got to get the jealousy plot going here. So, hey, there's Karmi.
Quite frankly, it would have been more interesting if she just was interested and then moved on to Karmi's stuff.
That's the other thing. Like, it sounds like she shouldn't even be there for Baymax. If I'm being frank, she's into the biotech, which Karmi's all about. Like, why was she there to see Karmi in the first place?
Yeah.
It's such a contrivance of okay, we need Hiro to get jealous, but again, why was she there in the first place? Oh boy,
pretty mediocre storytelling, unfortunately, and I hate to say that about the show.
Random question, T. Are you quoting Curb Your Enthusiasm with that?
You know what? I probably am, and I'm not even knowing it because, like, I know that's a part of the pop culture lexicon. I just don't know where it's from.
I was about to be very proud of you, so I'm kind of in the middle on that one right now. But anyway, say let's any like kind of last minute really good things we liked about because I think Granville as always she was delightful. You know, of course she was all positive and kind of freaking everybody out this episode. I love that.
That was hilarious because it was like it was a secret. It was like another like oh Granville's being all secretive, but in the most pleasant like Vera Farmiga, Norma Batesian kind of way.
Well, she's like brushing Hero's hair, it just does not work. Like gets like Go-Go's gum and everything. That was funny. I love that scene with. I think my favorite scene in the episode easily is the scene where the Cray has the buddy bots and everything. You know, like the bodyguard bots. Basically, he's like all confident and everything in the scene where he's just kind of there looking at pictures of himself, and then our monster enters and like that whole scene. I thought was really.
At least he finally found a practical use for them.
He did. Of course, it failed miserably, but he tried.
Well, I mean, it's better
than he did heroically.
Well, it's better than what happened to them in their debut episode where they went berserk.
That's true. It's one step forward, about 5.5 steps back for Cray. I mean that in a good way. It's me like 5.5 steps of being practical. I'm like, hey, I'm not. Everything's working out for Cray. Well,
coming up, Cray.
All right.
Yes. And of course, the titanium upgrade, as we mentioned, that's also a positive. And I think we wasted Minimax, by the way. It's like, I love.
Oh, I agree. I agree. I'm glad you bring that up.
Minimax was there, and again, of course, the great John Michael Higgins kind of springing into action. We also had kind of a vague Handman homage. I doubt it's like an actual Freakazoid reference, but I mean, it's the whole Captain Fist thing reminded me so much of Handman.
Oh God.
But yeah, but also we had this really fun gag where Fred's going through all like the files of the villains that his father fought, and of course we have.
Speaking of which, wasted opportunity. We should have got a fucking Stan Lee cameo in this episode.
Well, we could always use those, Tiki, by every stretch of the imagination. It's like, why didn't we get more Stan Lee in here? Well, the man's so
I'm just saying, this is one of the episodes where it would have been legitimate, like it wouldn't have been forced in there. It would have been like part of the plot.
That's fair. I remember of all the files, the one that just stood out to me was the monster. Oh, maybe he's the monster. Well, no, he was more of like a social monster, you know, like doing annoying things in the subway.
Like that was admittedly a good joke.
That's a good line. It's a good joke. So, I mean, this episode, I think on the whole here, I'm kind of ramping down here unless you guys get anything really major.
No, I'm good. I'm good.
I mean, I think on the whole, I think we're kind of all simpatico on this. I mean, again, you got some good jokes. And you have, again, there's some good intentions here. There's a skeleton of something.
Jokes, there's some good setup, some cool character designs with the new suits, but overall, it's just kind of a very middle of the road episode.
And like I said, it's just like they wanted to. It seemed like they had like high ambitions, but they're like, oh crap, we're running out of time. We need to wrap this up quickly.
Yep.
Basically, they could have cut out some stuff and like basically just like added a few more stuff here and there and like removed some stuff there, and then it would have been a very good episode. Probably would have been a very, very memorable one.
You know what the shame is? Now, again, I don't know how major this really is in the grand scheme of things. I was saying to relate to a recent experience. I was looking through a TV Guide magazine, and this episode, specifically the shot that we even had before us right here, this big group shot right here. I was looking through TV Guide, and they're basically hyping up, basically talking about Big Hero 6, the series, and it was like basically giving you the synopses and kind of teasing this episode up like it was a big deal. And, well...
womp, womp, womp.
I basically like in like kind of like the pre-Emmy week of TV Guide, maybe that was not the time to plug Big Hero 6. No, it's a shame, but yeah, middle of the road's harmless, but you know, again, like nowhere near as kind of like outstanding as Big Hero 6 has been, and they had a really great streak going on, but now it's just kind of they're basically they're kind of slowly stepping their way back into the swing of things.
All right, so
I got the episodes pulled up.
Go ahead, Jacob.
And as we discussed, next week's hopefully a step up is Steamer's Revenge.
Yes. Aaron Von Steamer.
Oh, yeah.
Episode 20, which, by the way, guys, we're going to have to talk some scheduling about episode 20. Just saying. The Bot Fighter.
Which has Christy Carlson. Most likely will have Christy Carlson Romano in there because she's going to play like this young bot fighter. I don't know I would imagine she would be in the bot fighting episode. So ipso facto.
All right. And then Jacob, what is episode 21?
Obake Yashiki.
I'm looking forward to that one. That one has like Obaki's last name. I presume his last name.
I really hope that's just a full-on Obaki flashback episode.
Oh, I love that.
Then Countdown to Catastrophe, which is now just labeled as episode 22 instead of like 22, 23, and 24 and 25.
Yeah, that's odd, but
might just be like a casual thing. It'd be like a 3-episode chill fest. You know, like I'm just gonna kick that. Yeah.
I mean, technically, Baymax Returns is still just counted as one episode. So
yeah, I know that bugs me too. Oh.
So it's entirely possible that Countdown to Catastrophe is probably could be an hour-long episode.
All right.
Be like a misnomer countdown. In reality, it's just like Fred like countdown like the microwave or something. Like, hey guys, let's just chill out, let's relax, let's have nachos.
All right, folks. Well, thank you so much for joining us. Hopefully next week will be better. And until then, I made a cameo.